All right, folks, we got the crypto bloodbath being mentioned and that big crash that's lining up with some clocks I was telling you about. But as that bloodbath comes and the crypto, the stable coin and such, and Bitcoin's wrapped up, all these things are going to help push out that birth of the new heaven and earth. And the dark sun, Obama, the way our world teaches the eclipse is with the moon. So this is where Biden is starting to give off red gamma radiation for that red Hulk session for the Harrison. And that Harrison is for that Kamala for your Halloween and all those stacks on things. But as that Trojan horse, that Trojan's being ripped off for that second coming, and the second coming of the dawn is here, who is the Lord Adania, the ancient one. And he is bringing worlds together as he's just dropping people off over there in deep space, in a matter of speaking. Okay, so as your space monkeys are tuned into that cartoon session and that Looney Tunes is coming, and that Ice Age is going to break open some nuts in a way, these people are going to have to be fed these spiritual things as their program that they've been under, this lie, is kind of deconstructed over the next years. But either way, that's a whole nother story. The dark side of the moon, Biden being the moon, but the dark sun is actually causing the eclipse, and this is where you get Obama and the Russian collusion and those things talked about in the Ayers group, mentioned in the 70s, and Kissinger and all those things mentioned way back when. But all those things are playing out now as we're going into this little focal point. Everything's kind of been given to us in puzzle pieces, and we've had to take those and put them into this one big picture so we can understand all these things. But this is kind of where this channel comes in, the things that's been given to me. Well, I went and seeked for the information first off for till 2020, and then 2020 happened. And everything came together as far as the trumpet sounding that sounded for years beforehand, and then the corona, the dark sun, developed in the cold, the first ice age, the corona and the COVID and all that stuff. But so as this prostate cancer tied to that Charlie Kirk and that Char Cloth and Erica Kirk, who has the two wings gathered for of the dragon, and the dragon's coming in, heating up the land for the snakes and all that to hatch out for when this year's over, and all that has been tracking on the Chinese calendar. And the Chinese calendar also takes us into where December can be in February and such. But the Trump, the crypto and the stable coins, that's one birth. Then Biden, the dark sun coming in for the eclipse and all these things, that's another birth. The Doge came in as that eclipse, setting things up. So this is where things are all like whatever that we see and that tell a vision and whatever, that as we're going into this little crystal ball, and that crystal ball is tied to the crystal, the consciousness that's given to you as a window into heaven, your screens and all those things as the motion picture. This image given life is forming men with the naughty and nice, and that naughty and nice is tied to Satan, Santa, your North Pole, your North Carolina, your South Carolina, and South Pole, and all those different things as you oh man, there's so much. But either way, the Black Friday being shown, these little stacks. Seems like there's little some 2-month stacks on some things we've been following as these little collapses, and these eyes and ears are going out and dinging the thing or whatever. And then that no bell session, the alarm clock sounding in ways from the trumpet himself, was on the week of 104, which is tied to your 10-4 alarms. In 2023, the week that the war started, and we're coming up on the 107 week, and then we're kind of getting into a repeat of some years as years and stuff stack on top of days and whatever else. But The what was it? The Midnight Hammer, those days and counts, the 110, the 107, all those things are stacking onto your the bloodbath on the crypto and whatever. The Tylenol, the circumcision, that Charlie Kirkcumcision, the Ty Elon, and all those things are going in. The May Musk gave birth to Elon. The May Musk, he'll be his 54, which is a 9. 45 on the flip side, but a 9, which is tied to your level of consciousness on man. So that's where Trump came in, and then he's coming in as the Twin Towers to divide the consciousness of man, and that's where you have this old being done and this new being done, where he's setting up crypto, but he's showing his face on the 250 clock on America, which is a day one for that day one for the Wanda Fuca and the Juan John, the wild one, the sign of his coming, the Johannesburg, and that's the South Africa for Elon, and then Johannesburg is the Han for the Enter the Dragon and Return of the Dragon. Is also playing as your Chuck Norris, and he's down there in that Walker, Texas Ranger kind of things. But the rainbow is setting, we're closing up in Texas too. That's part of your Oz session, and the rainbow's been showing. That's part of the times of Noah and things as it's shown first. We're going back into that time frame backwards as we're going back into where things are made, but the beginning is the end and the end's the beginning. So that's where it's going into that golden ratio and out of that golden ratio. So it springs in and springs out. Either way, springs in and springs out is also for your southern spring to your northern spring, which is like a 6-month session and whatever else is stacked. But the rebuilding of the DC also is happening on these times, and you have the Bell Arch being talked about for the 250 rebuilding of DC, that the third temple built without hands, and those out hands as you're in those false prophets. And those false prophets is where things kind of go up and spiral up, and then it just goes into the new heavens and earth in a way. And that's kind of where we're seeing the Dow, this, that, and the other, and they're crashing crypto as it's being given birth, and this is part of those labor pains and such. But now the labor pains are turning into those bloodbaths, and the bloodbaths are turning into like funding the terrorist organizations, and how all these things are tied to your Silk Road / Bitcoin / cartels and all those things that they're kind of coming after, and it's all kind of wrapped up. And either way, and then your first pizza was bought with your Bitcoin. That's kind of going into your Pizzagate and your Epstein for your Christines and all those things. But so the DC lights are out all the same time as this. The radiation hitting with a Biden, Trump getting his booster and the booster, but the booster for the COVID and the flu shot, 2-in-1, to where his lights can kind of go out in one aspect. But and then it's also they're cooling in the old heaven and earth as they're taking people and putting them in deep space, and they're going to be given these new so-called algorithms in a way, or new lights and whatever else to help set up this new age, because a lot of people don't even know about the 3-eye atlas or these other things that's being mentioned on an alternative platform, or they've never researched how Bush is connected to Auschwitz and all these other things, and he was the one who came in with your 9/11 and before then, and all these things have been set up, and how you had your Hollywood here, and then you had your real news that was brought to you and then everything kind of turned off at 10, and then we got the 24-hour news at a certain point in time. So this is when this projection that's real or whatever is all kind of merging in, as if there's not news, they'll go out and make it. And this is where these things have been orchestrated. They really happen, but they're also orchestrated and inside of the thing, and that's where some of these websites have gone dark now, part of that dark web and darkness upon the deep, because these deep thinkers have put together all these things, and it was showing you full, clear, and blown that these things were part of some type of whatever. Okay, so that's where all these things are kind of being pushed out in one way, shape, or form, or gathered up and silenced, and whatever else is going on. But as your 24-hour news has come out, there's been some point in time, probably the millennium or after 9/11, when the so-called whatever has been completely taken over in one way, shape, or form. But this is where we need to not believe anything on the screen that we're shown, in a way, because it's all Hollywood, and you got to go out and test these things. And what, you don't live your life by this so-called image that's been given life, that's there to shape the male and female after he, them, and all these other things. So either way, folks, we got to end it here. The flu shot also connects it to the WLFL on the Trump's birth and all those things. So it's the WLFL, and we're at the end of the thing, and that's tied to the crypto and whatever else. But and then also on 10/10/10, you had the Tron come out, and Tron, the Justin Sun, and all that stuff as the crypto crash, and all these things are coming together, folks. So it's very soon.